Chapter 10 notes that the downsizing of national government and shift of domestic policy responsibilities to the states have raised serious questions about the relationship between California and the federal government. Key policy areas include high-speed rail, immigration, climate change, and water. Because California is the most populous state in the Union, the extent of its clout in Washington is critical to assuring leverage in these and other sensitive policy areas. This chapter focuses on California's impact on the national policy-making arena, as well as the federal government's commitment to California. Here's the overview of what we'll be talking about in this chapter: California's clout with the President and with Congress, and some issues such as high-speed rail and immigration. California has had a wary, uneven relationship with the federal government, one that is often fraught with controversy. In some areas, the relationship has been okay, and the federal government particularly looks to California for leadership on environmental issues. However, federal assistance in any number of areas, transportation, immigration, healthcare, always seems inadequate. California doesn't have particularly strong clout with the president. Part may be because California doesn't figure prominently in elections. California is important to presidential campaigns only because of the money that candidates can receive from places like Silicon Valley, Hollywood, and Orange County. The state has had an uneven relationship with many presidents, and President Obama has been somewhat more responsive on certain issues. By sheer numbers, California should have significant clout in Congress. The state has 53 members, considerably more than the next closest, Texas and New York. California has had a recent Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, in 2006. Several prominent Democrats were in key committee leadership positions before Republicans took back control of the House in 2010. Even then, Kevin McCarthy from Bakersfield has risen to majority leader of the House. Of the state's 53 members of Congress, 39 are Democrats, 14 are Republicans, and 18 are women. However, California's congressional delegation is notoriously fractious, not surprising given California's diversity. The state has a number of conflicts: north versus south, urban versus suburban, and rural, coast versus the valley, liberal versus conservative. In the end, California's clout is diminished by the divisiveness, while states like Texas can exercise more clout because they are more united. Let's take a look at a couple of issues involving California's relationship with the federal government. On high-speed rail, the Obama administration has been a partner in the state's efforts to construct the nation's first high-speed rail system, which, incidentally, will start in Fresno. There are critics of high-speed rail, of course, and they say California can't afford the cost. Republicans balk at providing federal funds, and many say that voters should get another chance to vote on the high-speed rail bond. On immigration, California has experienced significant population growth from foreign immigration. There is a continuing debate over whether immigrants help or hurt the state's economy. For your quiz purposes, you should know that there is no consensus on this issue. Some believe immigrants are critical to our economy, particularly agriculture, while others believe immigrants put a drain on the state's resources in a number of ways. Finally, we'll take a look at California's relationship with the federal government when it comes to shared resources. California traditionally received more than its fair share of federal dollars. In fact, in 1983, California had 10% of the nation's population, but received 22% of federal funds. But with cutbacks in defense and space-related research, federal spending declined significantly, and the state in 2010 had 11.9% of the nation's population and 10.8% of federal funds. In other words, California is getting less of the federal pie. Beginning in 1986, California became a donor state, meaning that it contributes more dollars to the federal government than it receives. In 1992, the state received 93 cents in federal goods for every dollar it sent to Washington. By 2005, that number had dropped to only 78 cents for every dollar. As a result, California now operates with more financial autonomy from the federal government, and that fiscal self-reliance may be a hallmark of the state's direction in coming years. As the video lecture for this chapter, please use this lecture as well as your study guide to prepare for this week's quiz. Good luck.